Hello guys, and welcome back to the third round of Malmö SWU Open. Today I'm here with Viktor.
Hello.
Really nice to have you, and we are going to watch a pretty competitive game.
Yeah.
Han ECL, the new Han, is a super aggressive deck that's able to go wide like any other.
Yeah. This is the Polish list, or at least very, very similar to the Polish list that took down. I think maybe the weekend before this one, it took down a really big 60-man tournament in
Yeah.
Poland, and it went like the two guys that built the deck went second and first.
Yeah.
They met each other in the finals, so it's a really fast, really aggressive deck, like you said.
Yeah. And piloted by Rusthoi.
Yeah, Christopher Rusthoi, Västerås native, I think. He's been playing in Stockholm and Uppsala and in Västerås. So met him around a bit for a while. He's quite a character. He's a fun one,
Yeah.
and he's a pretty good player as well.
Yeah. And then he will be facing Mattias, playing a yellow Boba.
Yeah, known as Nostromo online. He's been on the forums in the service of Scandinavia. Not sure if I know the guy. I haven't been able to connect the dots here,
Yeah.
but it might be a
Yeah, it's
really swell
always
guy
difficult
that
to
I
keep
know.
track
Yeah,
between the nicknames and the real names. And
for sure.
Yeah.
If he's a friend, I'm sorry that I didn't know your nickname. All right. He's playing the pretty common Boba Yellow, right?
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
Boba Yellow did see a lot of good cards going from set 1 to set 2, but he's still, I would say, a kind of streamlined deck, right? You
Yeah,
know what you
yeah,
want to do, you want to really play for the tempo, get cunnings.
yeah. I mean, the deck didn't grow exceedingly more strong than what it was. It just kept tempo with the
Yeah.
rest of the decks, and it can still have a really good matchup into, especially Boba Green, but also Sabine. It's a pretty good matchup into Sabine.
Yeah.
It does come to some disadvantage into some of the blue-green control.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say it's a strong deck, probably one of the absolutely strongest decks, especially since it's so fast. It's
Yeah.
almost aggression fast, like
Yeah.
it's a rush deck almost.
You can
But
do so many cool things.
yeah, it's still very highly interactive,
Yeah.
unlike a Sabine or this Han Green deck,
Yeah.
which isn't particularly interactive, I'd say. And when we
Yeah.
talk about interaction in a deck, you talk about being able to, remove other players' cards or threats,
Yeah.
versus being more of a fast deck trying to push damage to the
Yeah.
base. Yeah.
More proactively, kind of.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Should we just get right into it? I
Yes.
think they're gonna need some time to mulligan and so forth.
Yeah. So I really like the sleeves of Mattias there. I think those were released with the first set of Star Wars Destiny.
Nice.
The Wraith sleeves. I bought a bunch for that, I think.
Yeah.
The story are on some really bright looking pink sleeves there, which suits his character a lot.
Yeah. Did see Mattias put down a lurking tie, I believe. That's a
Yeah.
really good card that Cunning Boba has got now in set 2.
Hmm.
Being able to
Hmm.
basically nullify Power of the Dark Side and Avenger.
Hmm. I think he put down the Seventh Fleet and a
Okay.
Basine there because he's got two Basines in hand. It's
Okay.
a little bit hard to make out Matthias's hand, but that's definitely a Fire Spray. I think it's a Waylay there as well. And I thought I saw another Basine that he had two of them. So saving one for later and using one in the opening turn. Now, the Basim blade there it is. It's not particularly strong against Boba Green. Han Green, I don't think.
Yeah, I
What
think
do you think?
Han has kind of the flexibility to have many turn on plays because you can play 3
Yeah.
costs.
Yeah, and like most of his deck would be around 2 or 3 cost units,
Yeah.
so he'd be probably quite secure from the Basim threat there.
Yeah. And playing a 3-2 into a 1-3 is pretty nice for Rusthoi here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's got, and also the FFF is the Fighters for Freedom,
Yeah.
it's really key to the deck. It tries to play a bunch of units, most of them red. So having one or two or even three of the Fighters for Freedom out, you get that ping every time, and you might play maybe 3 units a turn with this deck. So
Yeah.
yeah, so really what he wanted to see from the opening hand there. Now, Basim not really destroying the opening play. It really puts Mattias on the back foot already. So he waylays, and that was a waylay in his
Yeah.
hand then.
I think
Uh,
Waylay is really good in Boba because you always get the resource back, so it essentially costs 2.
yeah.
But playing it on the 3 resource turn is not that great, right?
No, no. You'd hope to have something like a seventh fleet or something, and
Yeah.
it's obviously he's going to have to play the control into a fast deck like Han2, but I think he's going maybe a little bit too hard into control here, and I don't think Boba Yellow can keep up that kind of control actually. He needs to push damage as well.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I think as you see in many games, it's all about kind of getting favorable trades, dealing with the
Right.
board. So, for
Yeah.
instance, this 7 Fleet Defender is a really nice answer to the red 3 there.
Yeah, that's really strong. But then the Fights for Freedom just returns to the other side, and they're going to push damage, and they fight for. And see, so now he gets a ping. So he's played 2 units this turn, and he gets a ping, and he might be able to keep that up if he can keep the Fights for Freedom on the board now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess
and
Mattias
those are.
claimed there, but just forgot to grab the token. But
It
we'll
looks
see.
like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. Um, So it's really hard to make out Matthias's hand there. I think it's a cunning in his hand,
Ooh.
and
Yeah.
uh, we might like
I think Cunning is like one of the cards that enables Boba to win against aggro. If you
yeah,
draw one or more Cunnings, you are favored. Like the fact that
yeah,
you can return things, exhaust, and even buff to win the race is just so huge.
yeah. You can essentially deal with 3 threats with one cunning,
Yeah.
like tapping 2 and returning 1 to hand,
Yeah.
and that can really stall out a fast deck like Han. Um,
So you see Fighters of Freedom killing Bazine here.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, I guess Boba doesn't really have any self-bounce like McClunky in Cad Bane, but
Yeah, he might not be playing that now.
so maybe he's gonna regret missing that 3 damage later, but we're gonna
Yeah,
see
yeah,
if it gets that
yeah,
close.
yeah, yeah. But he's stacking it up now. He's 5 ahead, which is basically catching up from having ECL.
Yeah.
So he's caught up the disadvantage from his base, but he still hasn't used the ECL. So
Yeah, and seeing Poe in hand is just really good
yeah,
for Christopher here.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, Matthias flips into 5 open resources and an open ECL. I don't understand that. That I mean,
Yeah,
that
I,
was he baiting that Poe? It makes no sense to
I
me.
guess he didn't have anything else to do, and with Christopher not having deployed Han,
Yeah,
it would feel really bad to pass or claim, I guess.
yeah, right. But I mean, it was pretty well signaled that he was trying to keep Boba hostage
Yeah,
there. I don't know. I might have been slightly more cautious about that.
yeah,
Now, being 10-1 on the base with the Boba, and you have basically 2 comparably weak units on the board. This is looking really good for Rusthoi.
yeah, it is. Especially with the bouncer not having any good trades here. He needs to
No,
take care of Poe, so
yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's just gonna have to smash it into Poe.
yeah,
And that leaves both Sabine and Han unit Han leader intact
yeah,
on the board. Obviously, that seventh fleet can still do some work in
yeah.
space, but
And Cunnings can be really good to kind of
right
stop
to
some
get
damage
the
at
max,
least.
yeah, get the max out of that. But he needs to catch up here.
Yeah.
Um, so we're moving into turn 5 here. And
I think a really explosive thing about the new Han is that when you have deployed, you can use your ability multiple times. So we see Christopher playing these Fighters for Freedom just for 2.
yeah, and they're pinging off of each other. So the second one actually pings.
Yeah.
And then if you play something with those both still on the board, both will ping.
Yeah.
And this adds up real quickly. But Mattias got the fire spray out, but he's
Yeah.
got a lot of catching up, and he has got nothing to interact with the Hans units right now.
Yeah.
So I didn't see what he drew into, but he needs a cunning. That has to be a cunning that I had in hand, and he needs to buy a turn here, just to and then double ping, and then everything strikes for one more or with basically
Red 3 is really bad for Mattias here because he doesn't
needs
want to spend an action kill it, right? But he kind of has to because it buffs so much.
There's lethal on board now, so only way for Mattias to deal with this is he hit 7th lethal into red 3, and then the cunning, if that is indeed a cunning, to tap 3 of the units on the ground down. Well, 2 of them, tap 2 of them and return 1 of them.
Yeah,
I think that's the only play here. Otherwise, he's dead here.
Yeah, so we can really see the power of Han going wide. And there are not many options.
True Swarm deck. This is a true Swarm deck. Basically, only the Kylo Yellow has this kind of Swarm effect.
And there are not many answers. Like, you have Bombing Run, which is a 5-cost red card, but that's
nobody
not
plays
common
that.
to see. Yeah. So most of the removal is just single targets, right?
Yeah. Obviously, Overwhelming Barrage.
Yeah.
He's really strong into this deck.
Yes, that's so good.
Because most of the units will be hurt when they enter play, so it's just 1 or 2 damage more and they're gone, you know. But he struck base with the 7th fleet.
Yeah.
And that's game, because all of those unit strikes for 4 now.
And he's on 19.
So that's 3 more. And then even if he taps down 3 of them, it's close to game. He's at 19, so he's really close to game. So he needs to bounce 1 of those units now and tap 2 of them down.
Yeah, but like even if he bounces a Fight for Freedom, you can just replay it, ping, and then ping.
Well, he has to bounce 1 of the Fights for Freedom because he can't leave. He's got 6-7 open resources. He can't leave both of them on board now because that's double ping for each unit place. So that's the cunning. To bounce 1 of those. He taps them.
Yeah, he's going for the buff, it looks like, on Fire Spray.
Oh, but that's lethal. He's got lethal there.
Yeah.
And Mattias does not have lethal.
Mattias has 2 open resources, so he could kind of go for signaling a surprise strike, but that is not enough. That would be 12. No. Going to 24, so Mattias 1 off.
That's 4 and a win. That's 30. So that's game.
That's gonna be game, yeah. So actually,
he's miscalculated there. He must have miscalculated that, right?
Yeah, but I guess there wasn't really an out. Even if he bounced, he maybe would have stalled a bit, but I don't think.
No, I mean he needed to trade with the 7th fleet. He definitely needed to trade with the 7th fleet, and then actually no, it wouldn't survive. But then he could have tapped at least 2 of them down, or bounced one of the Fighters for Freedoms, and maybe been able to still push 4 damage extra. I don't know.
You did see, like, in the end how strong the buffs of Boba can be. He got to attack for 9. If he had a surprise strike, would have been 12. So 1 off lethal.
Yeah. But still, the other guy had lethal. So when you're showing lethal, you need to deal with that threat.
You do.
So yeah. And then Rusthoi had all his resources open as well, so he could have just kept playing units.
Yeah.
So I think that game was lost anyway, of course, like you said. But yeah. It's interesting. What do you think? We do have access to Mattias's deck list. What do you think it brings in here?
We have access to Christopher's, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can turn it up without your face going away.
So I'm not sure there's anything he needs. Maybe more space threats, so he could bring in the mercenary gunship, or he could use the scanning officer to destroy the first turn of Boba.
Yeah. I
don't think he needs any of those though.
No, I think the deck's already quite well positioned.
Yeah. It's really hard to see what he was bringing in there. It was all off camera, so I couldn't tell any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Boba's side, I guess maybe. Do you know that card, Relentless Pursuit?
Yeah. Capture and get a shield on Boba. That's pretty nice.
That's one card that comes to mind that can be useful, because if you do just capture something, you're basically forcing your opponent to trade if they want to get the card back.
Yeah.
And
especially if you put it on Boba, that's hard.
Yeah, that's super hard. Poe would be like the only answer.
Yeah, and also with a shield on Boba, you'd have to discard a card to ping to remove the shield, and then another card to boost the attack. Yeah. So that would actually cost him quite 3 cards just to get rid of that. So I think that's probably an answer.
Okay, but we're gonna see Mattias opening with Crafty this time.
Yeah, and right away we get red 3, which is, it's really good play, like we saw in the last game.
Yeah, I agree. I think red 3 on turn 1 is amazing, because having 1 life in space does not really matter.
No. I mean, space usually don't early get more than 1 unit aside, so they're going to trade anyway.
Yes,
usually. Yeah. It really isn't that big a deal. Of course, the 7th Fleet will stay. They always trade well, but he ends up waylaying it instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess then it's not doing any harm this turn.
I think waylay against aggro decks is quite good, because often it's all about the tempo, so it's essentially like killing something.
Yeah. Now, he didn't use Han ability on this one, because obviously he wants to trade into the crafty to get the 2 damage on it and then hit base for 4, or the crafty, but Yeah. Also got the
Clone Deserter,
the Clone Deserter, the bounty unit. It's a draw card bounty, I think. Yeah, which again isn't such a big problem when you're running as fast as Han2 green here. You don't really care about giving your units that much cards, especially if they're not actual control decks.
And Clone Deserter only costing 1 resource is really crucial, because then that means you can play it for free. So basically enables you to go wide at any time.
Yeah. No, it's a good card in the deck. I think the Han green deck doesn't have any actual card draw, and that's why it's not better than it is. Like if it had something like the Kui, I don't know how to pronounce that. If it had any unit like that, this deck would be winning big things every week.
Yeah.
But not having access to proper card draw, you have to be pretty good at sequencing your turns.
Yeah. It's gonna see Forlom take out the Clone Deserter.
Yeah. Drawing that card. I think that was greedy.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the other guy, Heroic Renegade, being able to strike twice is better.
Yeah.
And so having removed that would have been stronger, I think. But he could now strike with the Renegade into the crafty, get that 2 damage on it, and remove the shield, and it'll be set up to deal with anything really.
Yeah. I'm gonna put my vote actually for the Clone Deserter, because getting an extra card just to have another option is great, and the Restore 1 on Clone Deserter can really matter in these games where it might turn out to be a race.
For sure. And now he hit the Renegade into the Forlom anyway, so it didn't really matter. Yeah. Obviously, he's got a Sabine, so he can deal with the crafty with Sabine instead, which is even better.
Yeah, that's really good.
Or you start hitting face, because he's got red 3 online again.
He's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one deck that Waylay is not as good against, is Han, because he can just play units for so cheap, and you tend to run low on cards. So yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Oh, I'm back.
So Crafty removing his own shield, putting 2 damage into Sabine, making it an actual trade if Sabine were to strike back.
Yeah.
That's proper. That's good. Red 3 going in for 3. But at this game, Mattias is looking a little bit faster, a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
He's got a fairly equal board presence, and he's done slightly more damage onto a smaller base.
Yeah.
So that's not too shabby. And we are on flip turn here, so this is where Boba really usually shines.
So we're gonna see,
We'll see.
if Kristoffer has an answer this time as well.
Yeah, again, he flips into an open resource pool and an open ECL. So that's just how he plays, I guess. He's a lot ballsier than what I am.
But I guess you sometimes need to go for your best place and not always respect your opponent's best place, because then you're kind of crippling yourself, right?
Sure. Absolutely. So this time there's no ECL, but he does put a Sentinel unit with 4 damage on it, and Mattias does strike into that, leaving his Boba open to be killed by basically anything. So he smacks Sabine into it with the red 3. He can remove it and still get the ping on the base. Yeah.
But crucially, Mattias did get ready resources with Boba, so
yeah, so he can still do. He's playing Toro.
Yeah.
Which is a really strong unit in the stack. He's got 4 loom, he's got suckers, so he can often ready it and hit twice with it. So yeah.
Would be really cool if we had the Bounty Guild initiate here now for 1 cost, but sadly we won't see it.
Don't think he's running that.
I actually did face a yellow Boba player, Mike, in the bronze final, and he played it and I lost.
Ooh, yeah, spicy.
It was super good. Dealing 2 damage and redding Toro.
Cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, this game is wide open at this point. Mattias has clawed some damage onto the base, so he's almost those 5 back up. Now Mattias deals with the red 3 here, losing the shield only of.
So I guess he's looking at his hand, thinking, okay, I need to get some favorable trades in. I can't just go base.
No, right. I'd say, yeah, this turn is probably quite crucial because it's the 6th resource turn. If he gets a fire spray out, that's probably really going to look really well for Mattias. But another Fights for Freedom, on the other hand, looks really strong for Rusthoi. Yeah. He's still got 4 open resources, which means he could play up to 2 more red units, pinging twice for both.
Yeah. I guess Crafty is a clean answer to that.
He should definitely throw the Crafty into the Fights for Freedom here. Because leaving 2 pings for every unit with 4 more resources, that's really not what you want to do here. He's paying something big. Is that a bouncer maybe? Could be.
Yeah.
That's not a fire spray anyway.
I guess Zuckus is also a good card for 5 resources.
Definitely.
It's gonna be the bouncer.
Yeah, that's good because he's removing one of the Fights for Freedom, also the healthier one that could have been striking base there. So that was a good play. And actually, he's getting quite a board here, Mattias.
Yeah.
I think that's a K2 in Resthoi's hand, and he's got an open ECL.
Yeah.
But he's got no. Yeah, he's removing the Crafty. Makes sense.
So he's gonna get 2 damage from Overwhelm and 1 ping from the fighters.
Yeah. Still a really good play. Just the math of that is so efficient.
Yeah.
So he's at 11-4 now.
Ooh.
So he's Oh, that's a really bad play. He
Is
knew
he?
that was a Fighters for Freedom. He bounced that Fighters for Freedom.
Yeah.
And he's playing and he's leaving it in hand, so he wasn't even trying to remove it.
Yeah.
Why play Basine there?
Yeah. That's a good question. Now he loses the initiative as well.
Yeah, yeah. And he's got the Fire Spray in hand. So he could have played instead of the bouncer, he could have played Fire Spray there.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Maybe Crafty into the newly played Fighters for Freedom, and then just playing a
Mhm.
Fire Spray to start
Yeah.
pressure the base
I
would
think
be.
that would have been a better play, yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been my preferred line here. Um, yeah, because he's still got slightly wider board, but they are less impactful units, all of them.
Yeah.
Maybe Toro is he's pretty impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I think this is a really important turn here. So fights for freedom, 3 into base.
Yeah. Looks like the footage is a
Toro,
bit
3 into base. Oh, we got some lag on the stream, I think. But that's I can't really make that out. I think that's 7 or is it 15
on whose base?
on the ECL. It's definitely 17 on the yellow base.
Yeah.
That something played on the top there. Was that a wrecker? Yeah, that was a wrecker, I think.
Oh, that's really solid. Taking out the
Yeah.
bouncer.
Yeah.
And he might have missed the ping there.
He might have. Because he's still got 17 damage on the base. So yeah, he missed the ping. But now the board is definitely favoring Mattias. Sorry, Christopher.
Yeah. Like the wrecker as a 7/4 is quite good because many units have 3 power, so
yeah,
you're gonna have to sacrifice something bigger to actually trade with it.
Yeah, especially looking at the board of Mattias, that was a really solid play. He could, of course, have a 4-loom in hand or something to deal with it, but then he has to pay that for that. So yeah, that's basically just a removal spell then.
Yeah.
It's not sticking.
And Bazine attacking base for 1 is not gonna do much.
No, he should have taken out the. Oh no, yeah, that's not a Sabine. That's a K2, so he couldn't take the K2 out.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do with that.
he decides to surprise strike the base here.
Yeah. Oh, he surprise striked with the Basine, so he could have taken out maybe the Fights for Freedom there.
Yeah, he could have done that, but he decided to surprise strike just on the 7th fleet to go on base. But if those are, I don't know if there are 5 or 3s on Christopher's base, but
I think that's 16. A 10 and 2 2s and 2 1s.
Yeah.
I think that's 16. And Rusthoi has made 21 on Mattias' base. So that's 24 with hand there.
And that's gonna be lethal range now with Wrecker.
And another ping from Fighters for Freedom.
Yeah.
So that's 25. So most things are more or less. I mean, you can almost count the K2 as being already 3 damage onto base because that's the least it will do.
Yeah.
And that would be 1 from lethal then.
Yeah. So, the best thing Mattias could do is like bounce K2 and then exhaust 2 units, but still that's not going to be enough. It's going to take 3 to base, and then the fighters can just ping for the remaining.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's going to be game.
Mattias concedes. Yeah. No, I think I don't think Mattias was prepared for this deck. It seemed from some of his lines that he was slightly confused on what to do with this deck.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't see any of the really spicy tech in the hand green deck here, he runs this deck runs 3 of Mass Canada.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of a card you can only play when no one is prepared for it. Even in this deck, at best it's going to get, you might play it with 2 or 3 more units in a turn.
Yeah, so on turn 1 you can play Mass, a 1-drop, and then a 1-drop for free.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to know.
Yeah, that would just make it a 3-3.
Yeah. So
So
you really have to know
basically,
what you're playing against,
yeah.
whether or not that's worth it going for on the first turn.
Yeah, no, right. And on the second turn, maybe it's slightly better. If you can stall it out and then make it a 4-4 on the second turn, that's probably going to stick for a bit.
Yeah.
But, you're going to have to stall the other guy out. It's, yeah. There are issues with this.
Yeah. But this was a fun game, really
Mhm.
showcasing how ongoing wine can be very difficult to deal with.
For sure, for sure. I don't think we had Christopher anymore on the stream, but he did make the cut.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So the Han2 green deck did make the cut. Whereas Mattias, he did end up something like 3-4, I think, or maybe 4-4. I'm not sure. He did all right, So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting game.
Yep. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will both be back with the fourth round of day
For
one.
sure.
All right.
See you around.
See ya.